Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Trade unionist calls for work-from-home arrangements to remain. Mixed reactions to curfew changes from business operators and vendors in downtown Kingston. And later in sports, more Manning Cup teams could be found in breach of ISSA's eligibility rules. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. We begin with mixed reactions this afternoon from business operators and vendors to the new curfew measures. Cody and Barrett visited the downtown Kingston Market District.
Ahead of the festive season, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced the nightly curfew has been relaxed by an hour and will now commence at 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. daily as of Friday, December 10, running until Thursday, January 13, 2022. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve will, however, see a further extension to 1 a.m. to facilitate traditional activities on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Downtown Kingston is the biggest shopping hub for Grand Market Night, so we visited to hear the thoughts of operators.
It's okay, but it could have been better for other people who not get to come out for them time there, if you can understand. But it's okay so far. We have to eat better than nothing.
For some retail operators, while they were unwilling to speak with our news team on camera, they said the curfew time will not make a huge difference for their operations. However, for the vendors, they expressed gratitude.
Well, it's a good look, we have to just give Father God thanks. We get to look at extension and look at time we can earn and look at food put on the table. Great, but we can have one tree and make two ends meet. I will give Father God for that.
I expect to see more blessing, more buyer out. People can go around freely and support us. We appreciate that a lot.
Cody and Barrett, TVJ News.
In the meantime, at least one trade unionist is already calling for the government to retract its latest decision on the work-from-home order. Prime Minister Andrew Holness said in Parliament on Tuesday the order will end on December 31. But as O'Shane Masters reports, trade unionists disagree with the decision.
President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, O'Neill Grant, is suggesting that Prime Minister Andrew Holness withdraws a position taken in relation to the work-from-home arrangements.
Not to release that strong arm on the work-from-home just yet. Allow us to do the various things that we have started, complete them in short order to advise him fully as to where it is that we want to go with a comprehensive approach to dealing with the virus and its response in the public sector.
On Tuesday, the Prime Minister announced in Parliament that the measure would come to an end on December 31. But the JCSA President and General Secretary of the National Workers' Union, Granville Valentine, believe the decision is premature.
I am a little concerned as to what could have caused the Prime Minister to say this ended on December 31st and did not staggering this over a period of time, maybe 3 to 6 months, still watching what will happen.
Mr. Grant says the announcement came as a surprise as trade unions were in the process of creating a public sector policy document.
2 weeks ago, the Public Sector Monitoring Committee met and we are in the process of putting together a draft set of proposals to deal with the public sector policies around COVID-19, particularly those having to do with a vaccination requirement. And we were given no indication at all that there was any consideration to end the work from home arrangement, which would be a key part of how we are going to be treating with the public sector policy to deal with COVID-19 and other pandemics.
According to the JCSA president, the document is expected to be ready in the next week and a half. As the concerns raised by Prime Minister Holness about the loss of productivity due to the work-from-home arrangement, both Mr. Grant and Mr. Valentine say their unions have not received any such complaints.
The issue of productivity is one that we have looked at within the JCSA. We have not received any official indication that there has been a significant fall off in productivity. As a matter of fact, the information that we have is that those workers who were given the opportunity to work from home were in fact producing well.
I have not been informed of any particular company that is saying that, boy, our productivity has gone down as a result of people working from home.
Mr. Grant also had concern with the discretionary mechanism. Under the mechanism, Managers will have the authority to decide who should work from home.
In the first instance, the MDAs that we interacted with were not very gung-ho about the work from home order in the first place. And we thought then, and we still do think now, that there are some things that has to be mandated in relation to how we deal with the response to the virus in the public sector. And one of them is that the work from home order is something that has to be mandated and not left to the discretion of the technocrats, managers, and supervisors within the public service.
Both men are also calling for a meeting with the government to fully understand the position taken. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
To other news now, the Jamaica AIDS Support for Life says the PrEP program aimed at preventing at-risk people from getting HIV through unprotected sex has been successful. The program was implemented last year. Sandy Williams has been tracking this story.
Pre-exposure prophylaxis, PrEP, a double prevention method for HIV.
It's not PrEP, so you put away the condom. We know condoms can break. So there's PrEP to say in the event that condoms break, persons can have an added layer of protection.
PrEP is a medication for people at risk of contracting the sexually transmitted virus. It limits the spread of HIV.
There are persons in serodiscordant relationship, and by that I mean one person is positive, one is negative, and they are aware that they are having sexual intercourse with a positive person. So that person, the negative person, is put on PrEP as well. And they still use their condoms. I want to emphasize that because many people may think that PrEP is an option for using condom. It's not.
Policy and Advocacy Officer at the Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, JASL, Patrick Layla, says the medication is only prescribed to individuals after an assessment is done.
PrEP is literally ARVs. Antiretroviral drugs that is being given to a negative person. So there's a whole procedure. You will have to be tested because PrEP is no good to a positive person. It's for a negative person. So after having established that you are not living with HIV and that you are high risk, so because it is not paid for by individuals, it's provided by the state with a certain limit on the resources. It's not available just to all and sundry, whoever wants to have it.
Clinical trials in some first world countries have shown that PrEP is 99% effective at reducing the sexual transmission of HIV. According to JASL, approximately 100 persons have benefited from the organization's PrEP program since it started last June. Mr. Layla says the program has been successful.
The pilot was done at our site with 50 persons, just 50 persons. It was a pilot. It was very successful. And since then, we have rolled out to more persons. But as I said, it's not something that we are offering to the general public. I mean, it's open to anyone who is assessed and found to be high risk. But we also want to encourage people to, practice safe sex, use your condom.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And with that, we take a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when we return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. Parliament passed legislation to streamline appointments to public boards in Parliament yesterday. Now, the move follows a string of recent controversies and irregularities at several public entities. Efforts to have the public bodies management and accountability regulations passed last year stalled in Parliament. Reintroducing the regulations in the House yesterday, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said they were important given the huge sums managed by some public bodies.
Public bodies alone, leaving all of them out, but there's 54 self-financing public bodies, have revenues that exceed $325 billion a year. This includes Petrojam, which has over 100 billion Jamaican dollars of revenue each year. National Water Commission, over $40 billion. National Housing Trust, $30 billion. Clarendon Alumina Partners Cap, $24 billion. National Health Fund, $19 billion. HART, $14 billion. JUTC, $8 billion. Airports Authority, $7 billion. Those are the top 8.
4 men are the latest to die from COVID-19 in Jamaica. 2 of the deaths were reported in St. Catherine, 1 in the corporate area and the other in St. Anne. The death toll now stands at 2,415. Meanwhile, 24 new cases of the coronavirus have been reported in the last 24 hours from 682 test samples. The country's overall case count is 91,578. The positivity rate is 5.1%. 132 people are hospitalized with the respiratory illness. 12 are severely ill and 9 are in critical condition. There are now 524 active cases on the island. The recoveries have increased to 63,260. This as 37 more people recovered from the virus on Tuesday. The St. Thomas police have launched a manhunt for a suspect who raped a 21-year-old woman in 11 Miles Bull Bay early this morning. Allegations are that sometime after 1 o'clock, the woman went to a wake in the area. When she returned home, she was held up and raped by a man. The man escaped through the front door, which he damaged upon entering the house. And for the latest in the world of business, here's Cody and Barrett.
In business news, players in the real estate market are calling for local legislation to govern real estate investment trust. President and CEO of Cygnus Group, Beresford Gray, says this will help to increase the earning potential for investors and the government.
With specific laws governing real estate investment trusts, whether it's a private or a public vehicle, there is tremendous value in terms of pooling real estate together, getting the ordinary investor in, getting the pension funds in, and letting them take long-term view on the asset class.
And in business internationally, 3 doses of Pfizer and BioNTech's vaccine provide a high level of protection against the Omicron variant of the virus that causes COVID-19. The companies announced on Wednesday that a booster shot of the vaccine increases antibody protection 25-fold compared with the initial 2-dose series. A third shot shows virus-fighting abilities comparable to the 95% protection provided by 2 doses against the original strain of the virus. The company said 2 doses of the vaccine showed a significant reduction in the ability of antibodies to target and neutralize Omicron, though they may still protect against severe disease. That's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Merritt.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In this evening's Health Report, we look at how COVID-19 affects the heart.
Another way in which COVID affects the heart is that the COVID virus is what we call a procoagulant. It tends to cause clots to form. And so clots can form in the blood vessels of the heart that supplies the heart muscle in a person with COVID and actually cause a heart attack. And when you go and do what we call an angiogram to take a picture of the blood vessels supplying the heart, you find that there's a clot sitting there, and which has to be either removed or given medication to dissolve the clot to get blood flowing again.
That's the Health Report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. If you smoke, quit. Manage your weight. Cut down on saturated fat. Cut down on salt and get active.
And for the top regional and international stories, here's Sandy Williams.
In regional news, the United Nations Regional Commission has released its flagship report, International Trade Outlook for Latin America and the Caribbean 2021. According to the document, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, projects a 25% increase in the value of regional goods exports for 2021 after a 10% drop in 2020, driven by a 17% rise in export prices and an 8% expansion in the volume of shipments. In 2022, the document estimates that the value of regional exports and imports of goods will grow by 10% and 9% respectively in a context of lower regional and global economic growth. On the international scene, Olaf Scholz have been sworn in as Germany's new chancellor, bringing to an end Angela Merkel's historic 16 years as leader. He was voted in by the German parliament, where his 3-party coalition has a substantial majority and given a standing ovation. His center-left Social Democrats will govern alongside the Greens and the business-friendly Free Democrats. The handover of power marks the end of Mrs. Merkel's 31 years political career. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Renardo Brown will have the Midday Sports.
Welcome back. It's now time for your Midday Sports. TVJ Sports understands that there could be a storm coming for the Issa Manning Cup, as several schools could be in breach of eligibility rules following Tuesday's ruling against Camperdown and Tivoli Gardens High. In an interview with TVJ Sports on Tuesday, head coach of Camperdown, Donovan Loftus, revealed that he was aware of several schools who committed the same breach as his institution but are yet to be punished. The dominant issue seemed to be around players who were registered in an academy before returning for the current school year. According to ISA President Keith Wellington, those players should have sat out a year, and this was explained to coaches prior to the start of the season. But a source close to the situation told TVJ Sports on Wednesday that Tuesday's ruling by ISA to declare games played by Camperdown and Tivoli Gardens null and void due to the use of ineligible players has resulted in more schools threatening to expose others. It's believed that should these reports be made, some prominent institutions could be found in breach of eligibility rules, with the quarterfinal round set to start on Friday. TVJ Sports also understands that one player from a former champion could be found in breach of the transfer rule, as he is now enrolled in his third secondary institution. As expected, track and field representatives dominate the list of nominees for the 2021 RGR Gleaner Sports Foundation National Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year Awards. Heading the list of 5 female nominees is Tokyo Olympic triple gold medalist Elaine Thompson-Hero, sprint relay gold medalist and 100-meter bronze medalist Sharika Jackson, sprint relay gold medalist and 100-meter silver medalist Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, and sprint hurdles bronze medalist Megan Tapper have also been nominated, along with West Indies women's cricket team captain Stefani Taylor. Headlining the 4 male nominees is Olympic 110-meter hurdles gold medalist Hansa Parchment. Also making the cut are Olympic sprint hurdles bronze medalist Ronald Devey, West Indies batsman Nkrumah Bonner, and motorsport driver Fraser McConnell. The awards function will be held virtually on Friday, January 21, starting at 8:35 p.m. Now, West Coast Fever's Janelle Fowler has taken home the Suncorp Super Netball Player of the Year for the 4th year running at the Australian Netball Awards on Wednesday night. Fowler again finished the 2021 season as the league's top goal scorer with 891 goals and also had 3 perfect 100% shooting accuracy matches. Jamaica had 2 representatives in the Team of the Year, with defender Shamira Sterling of the Adelaide Thunderbirds named as a reserve. And in cricket, a 6th career 5-wicket haul for Pat Cummins in his first test as captain has given Australia a massive advantage on the opening day of the Ashes series against England at the Gabba in Brisbane. The well-anticipated start to the longest test rivalry got off to the perfect start for Australia when Mitchell Starc bowled Rory Burns around the legs of the first delivery of the day. England's decision to bat first quickly backfired as they found themselves 29 for 4. From there, the visitors failed to recover before being bowled out for 147. Joss Butler 39 and Ollie Pope 35 were the top scorers, as Cummins ended with 5 for 38, while Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazelwood picked up 2 wickets each. Rain then prevented Australia's first innings reply, with the hosts set to start on day 2. Finally, LeBron James scored 30 points to lead the Los Angeles Lakers to a 117-102 win over the Boston Celtics in the NBA last evening. James, who turns 37 later this month, was ably assisted by Russell Westbrook, who contributed 24 points and 11 assists, and Anthony Davis, who racked up 17 points and 16 rebounds. Jason Tatum scored a game-high 34 points in the defeat for the Celtics. Elsewhere, Kevin Durant scored 11 points in the fourth quarter as the Brooklyn Nets swept back from 17 points adrift to beat the Dallas Mavericks 102-99 on the road. In the evening's final game, the New York Knicks broke a 3-game losing streak with a 121-109 away win over the San Antonio Spurs. RJ Barrett was the star for the visitors, scoring 32 points. And that's it for your Midday Sports Report. Giovanni, it's back to you.
And that's also it for the Midday News. Thanks so much, Renardo. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.